Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to do an open letter to Wizards of the Coast on Dungeons and Dragons canon. Okay, so Wizards of the Coast, I am a purchaser and a fan. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since 1982, and I am a consumer of Dungeons and Dragons. I purchase Dungeons and Dragons, I purchase the products, and I am a purchaser of Magic the Gathering products. Right now, I got very excited when you connected the worlds of Magic the Gathering and D&D and use the plane shift modules to say these settings are directly connected to Forgotten Realms, the default setting of Dungeons and Dragons, right? And the plane shift modules did that for years. And then I got even more excited when you said, hey, Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons, these worlds are connected, right? Magic the Gathering worlds are connected to the Forgotten Realms and every realm that can be reached from the Forgotten Realms in Dungeons and Dragons. And you did that with the Ravnica book, with the Theros book, and with the Strixhaven. And Strixhaven is the most important because Strixhaven is, in my humble opinion, a permanent canon bridge between Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering. It is pure canon in Magic the Gathering, pure canon in Dungeons and Dragons. Right? It's been printed as a book in Dungeons and Dragons, and it's printed as a standard release. Completely standard set in Magic the Gathering, and the connection between Dungeons and Dragons and has been carried from the promotion, from the packaging, short stories that were published on the website, in the text, and in the art of the book, and in the art of the cards. Right, so you have mixed these worlds literally for a decade. Okay, now where I get a little frustrated and vexed is what you did with Adventures in Forgotten Realms. You released Adventure in Forgotten Realms with a standard MTG card back. You printed MTG on every single package, and you encouraged Dungeons and Dragons players to come over and play Magic the Gathering because by every narrative clue, every logical clue, every lore clue, this was a canon MTG set. And then tucked off in a little corner on your website, you said, no, this isn't a canon set. And then you had the audacity to go further and say, oh, and the only reason is because we haven't decided to let it be. If we think it's going to be fun, we'll allow it. And so basically you're saying our promotion, our packaging, our text, our art say this is canon, and then we put a little article in the corner of our site and say this isn't canon, right? And honestly, I'm going to say you're benefiting from the confusion, right? Which, honestly, I'm going to say this right now too, feels a lot like gaslighting, right? So this is what I'm saying, okay? Here's my request to you, all right? Make it clear, all right? And I want you to make it clear to me as a consumer, and I want you to make it clear to your partners, right? Right now, you got a deal spinning up, right, where the next thing that in my humble opinion, will be 100% canon in Dungeons and Dragons is Transformers. I can't wait to put Optimus Prime right at a dinner table with Elminster, okay? And you have built this bridge, which is literally called the Planar Bridge, right? Like, you have built this bridge over not one, but like a dozen products, right? Like, and many short stories, and like, you built this bridge, right? And so what I'm saying is, do not, please, I'm asking you, do not do this MTG D&D thing where you're like, oh, this is a universe beyond, and then you say this isn't part of the dungeon, this isn't part of the Magic the Gathering worlds, right? But then you give it a standard MTG back, exactly like you have for the Adventures in Forgotten Realm back. You give it a standard, Magic the Gathering back, and then you keep all of the spells that are being castable with plains, forest, mountain, island, swamp, right? And literally the exact same process that a wizard uses to cast Yanawar Elf is used to cast Optimus Prime. And then you're like, it's not canon. Just the magic is exactly the same, and the back is exactly the same, and everybody who's not paying attention is going to assume it's canon, but we're going to say it's not canon for some weird. Well, I know the reason, and you know the reason, and it honestly, I'm not going to accuse you of gaslighting, but it sure feels like gaslighting to me, right? Now, you have built Dungeons and Dragons for people who care about canon. And you have built Magic the Gathering for people who care about canon. And I'm saying, if you want to call this a Universe Beyond, print it with a different back. So it won't go with all the other, cards that your narrative, your logic, and lore are saying are being cast by us, the player, who is exactly like the Planeswalker. You literally wrote this into the lore, the narrative, the logic of Magic the Gathering. You're saying, you are a player exactly like a Planeswalker. These guys sit right next to you. They take damage right next to you, right? And so you're gaining the benefit of having a canon world, but you are doing something that, I'm not going to say you're gaslighting, but I'm going to say it really feels like we're being gaslit, right? And this needs to stop, and I'm asking you to stop it, okay? So one, I would love to have Optimus Prime as a canon character for Dungeons and Dragons. How does he get there? Well, the Transformers cards are connected to Dominaria. Dominaria is connected directly to Strixhaven. Strixhaven is connected directly to Forgotten Realms, right? I want Optimus Prime to help Elminster kill a red dragon, right? I'm ready for it. Bring it, right? And I want it to be canon and full permission, right? So if you bring these cards in, either allow it to be canon and make sure that all companies involved, which I know Transformers is Hasbro, all know that the second you connect something to Magic the Gathering, you are connecting it to Dungeons and Dragons because your company has connected Magic the Gathering to Dungeons and Dragons for a solid decade, easily, maybe approaching 2 decades, right? So that's what I'm saying is, can we please have clarity? Can we have honesty? Can we have, I don't want to feel gaslit anymore, right? Please just be straightforward about this, right? So one, print it with the standard back and allow the spells to be cast with plains, forests, mountains, islands, swamps, okay? And allow it to be and allow us to have Optimus Prime in Forgotten Realms, the way all of the narrative, the logic, and the lore is pointing. Or print it with a different back and have it cast with a different type of mana. If you do both of those things, hands off, right? I'm not going to use Optimus Prime in my D&D world, and I won't say that you encouraged and invited it, because I really feel you are encouraging and inviting everyone to use every single Magic card in Dungeons & Dragons if they simply look at the massive amount of effort you have taken to connect those two worlds by canon, in my humble opinion, right? So this is an open and honest letter to you, Wizards of the Coast. If you want to call it a Universe Beyond, then print it with a different back and do not use the same magic source, right? Because the back and the magic source have been very carefully ported to Dungeons & Dragons. And every single thing that you print with a standard magic card back that gets cast with plains, forest, mountain, island, and swamp, I'm going to assume is canon to Dungeons & Dragons, because your narrative, your logic, and your lore has built that bridge for over a decade. Right? I think that's fair on my part, right? That's my humble opinion, right? And I'm asking nicely, please make this clear. Choose one path or choose another. Don't stand in the middle and gain from the confusion. All that is my humble opinion and my humble request to you, Wizards of the Coast. Thank you.